That sun's pretty bad, but today I'll show you real quick a nice easy way to set up a drip irrigation system for really any vegetable garden, but we're going to use this in our raised beds, so that's what's coming up next. Okay, so down here in the strawberry patch we have what is probably the standard approach to vegetable irrigating. If you refer to the Orbit's manual or whatever company you're referencing, and this is drip tape, right? So every so often there's a hole. This happens to be 6-inch spacing, and so by running this throughout your bed, and you can see how I've got it kind of just snaking everywhere. If you let it run long enough, then the water drips from here and it just sort of wicks out into the bed. Now I love this method for something like a strawberry bed where I have, plants basically everywhere, and this gives me the ability to completely saturate basically the entire bed. That's not always potentially the most efficient way to water. So let's go look more closely at how I set up the water on the tomatoes and the cucumbers. Okay, so here's the whole system, and it's kind of in process. So you're going to get to see kind of how the whole system works. Out of each of the boxes, let's run over here so we can see it. So there's connected to a hose bib that is a zone on a sprinkler, and then those lines are running under each of the boxes, and then out of each box I have just a simple shutoff valve. And so this is live water because I have the hose connected right there. Okay, so then whatever we hook to this we have complete control over water wise. Okay, so each of these beds has their own individual shutoff, okay, which allows me to very quickly and easily decide which bed I want to run. So this method is much simpler than what I did with the strawberries, and that is using these adjustable flow rate drip fittings. Now, this system is good for two reasons. Number one, it puts the water right where I want it, which increases efficiency because the water is going directly where the roots of the plant are planted. Now, year after year, depending on what we plant in the beds, that may or may not work. But what's nice about this system is that with a simple twist, I can shut the water off without having to remove the fitting and put in like a goof plug or something like that to clog the hole. So it's completely adjustable for whatever crop I have growing and whatever needs I have. Now this is another important feature to note. One of the problems that you have with drip tape is that when you run over some sort of a barrier like this, if there was an emitter here on a standard piece of drip tube, that water would have a tendency to run down the line until it contacts soil. What that means is that I end up with lots of water pooling down there because the emitters are running down the hose. By using this system, the water comes out right where I want it to, and it's getting right at the base of that tomato plant. The other thing that's a benefit to this is right now, it's not a perfect example, but you can see this side of the bed is getting no water, not a drop. And that's because obviously I haven't put any holes in it yet. But I would be able to do that exact same function even if I had put holes, because those emitters are adjustable to the point where I can completely shut them off. So even though I have one main shutoff valve here for each bed, I can control the amount of water in every section of the bed by turning the emitters up and down and changing the amount of water that comes out. Okay, so just a couple things that you're going to need if you want to adopt this system. Obviously you need the black poly pipe, and then these are the drippers that I got. They're a 0 to 14 gallon per hour 360 degree pattern 25 pack. I just checked it, is like $8 at Home Depot, so you're at about 30 cents for each one, which is not too bad. And then I bought one of these tools for cutting the poly pipe with. Works really well. It's just a Husky tool. It's actually a multi-tool and has some other different things in there. You don't need this, but it sure does make cutting that stuff super simple. You could probably use garden shears just as effectively, but for what it's worth, I like it. And then this tool is absolutely indispensable in my mind. This is the thing that punches the holes in that poly pipe. If you're going to be doing a significant amount of drip irrigation, this thing is worth every penny. So I would highly recommend this. And then I really enjoy this kit. It's just a simple toolbox. It doesn't have to be this exact one, but something to keep your stuff organized. Sure does make this type of drip irrigation all that much more easier. So there you go. So that's the landscape staple that we use. You can see the wire's pretty heavy and it's nice and long, so it holds. And then this is all that you need right here to close off the end of a piece of poly pipe. They'll sell you all sorts of fancy things that allow you to slip that on there, but these are so cheap. I find myself using these, and then if I need to flush the line, I can just cut the zip tie off, open it up, flush the line out at the start of the season, and then put a new zip tie on for pennies on the dollar. So anyway, zip tie is all you need to close the ends. And then of course the last thing is, a yard stake. They sell different types of stakes, but I find that just the nice landscape staples, I'll put a link down in the description to the ones that I get off of Amazon. They're a little bit longer and more robust than the ones that are generally at places like Home Depot. So they're the ones that I like to use. It's what we use to put down, all of this weed fabric and everything. But anyway, so there you go. If you're like me and you're messing with a lot more garden space this year, that might be a way for you to think about handling your irrigation needs in a way that is completely controllable. If you found this useful, then consider subscribing. We post content like this as often as we can. It's busy gardening, but I try to share as much information as I can for the benefit of all of us here in the community. Also, do us a favor, give this video a thumbs up, maybe even comment down below if you have any experience with this system, or if you think that some of the benefits are worth it. I tend to like it, but obviously I'm the one who showed it to you, so I'm gonna like it. But that thumbs up and a little comment down below sure does help us with the YouTube algorithm. So we sure do appreciate any of that you're willing to do for us. Thanks for watching, guys. Get outside, get something growing, because life's better when it's lived outdoors.